go. Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is April 16th, 2023. Howard, you're in Tuscany. Have you gained any weight?
No, I'm riding, but yeah, I'm not starving. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you well, yes.
All right, buddy, take it away. It is spectacular here, but the show goes on.
Yeah, it's been really resilient market. As the indices are just consolidating through time. Their recent gains. We continue to see sector rotations. Last week we talked about a rotation into the more defensive sectors like healthcare and consumer staples. And then just the previous week we saw rotation in other sectors, like for example, biotech was super strong on Thursday. Obviously, it's probably just a bear market bounce, but there was a lot of volume last Thursday on this big 5% move for the entire sector. So there is a rotation, like money is not really leaving the market, it's just rotating between sectors.
Yeah, there's some risk on, right? Like it's even the software IGV software index starting to bottom a little bit, or at least show a sign that people are thinking longer term, putting their money to the market, which we haven't seen in a year.
Definitely constructive action, yeah.
Yeah, pretty constructive, which is just long dated risk coming back into the market. It's interesting because the VCs are, you can't get a room in Abu Dhabi at the Four Seasons, so the VCs have flocked overseas because they've raised all this money and liquidity's dried up, and that just could be a sign that people would rather put the, with private valuation so high, people would rather express this liquidity in the form of software and tech. Semiconductors, have been rallied the most. But again, I mean, there's no rush. It doesn't feel like there's a rush to do anything. But there's at least some positive signs in the sectors that I kind of care about, which is growth. What are the energy stocks doing?
I mean, they also bounced like 2 weeks ago when Saudi Arabia said that they're going to cut their production. They had that huge gap and they've been kind of going sideways since then, which is constructive. If you didn't fill the gap quickly, that means that they're buyers here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the one big macro theme has been a declining US dollar in the past month or so. Yeah. And
you're seeing that show up in Bitcoin and gold. Right.
Yeah, anything crypto related has been really strong here today, probably the strongest sector. Like if you look at the performance of all the crypto related like miners and stocks, that definitely among the best performers here today, like MSTR, Mara, Riot, Coinbase, like all of them like double, triple, or quadruple year to date. The strongest sector, and after that are semis. And you're right, gold has been really strong too lately, just climbing that 20-day moving average. Like you had a big breakout on a monthly, basically.
Yeah, I mean, you have tightening money, tightening Feds. You've got, gold's had a good run. I mean, if it breaks out and it feels like it is, you're going to have a 20 to 50% run, short to medium term. Crypto's already front run that because it's Bitcoin's doubled in this year. So people are taking risks. They're moving money around, right? The question is it long-term money? I mean, there's so much. Oh, we've got guests coming. Hello. So the question is how long that sticks in the market, right? And that's why you want to see the software stuff bounce. The S&P just still looks heavy, but
I mean, I would say Russell 2000 looks heavy. S&P is just benefiting from all the rotations. Even on Friday, we knew that the big banks are doing well. JP Morgan crushed estimates, gapped above its 50-day moving average, closed really strong. So at least we know that the big banks are doing well. So maybe the financial crisis was a little bit overblown and kind of behind us. But we'll know more this week as so many regional banks report earnings. So last week, I remember that you talked about the strength in really like luxury high-end retailers. So
Yeah, everybody's copying that story. I think Wall Street Journal came out talking about, didn't mention my blog, but it's the same stuff I talked about. You've got the degenerate economy and the rich economy, right?
yeah,
There's no middle, right? You either cater to the rich or you cater to the degenerates. And and I don't mean to disparage degeneracy. It's just a wide scoping term of gambling,
mm-hmm.
vices, travel, um, spending in a degenerate way, right? They're not saving and they're not buying things, the younger generation. They're expressing themselves with certain types of watches, shoes, I guess even LVMH, but gambling. How are the gambling stops doing? I've been following DraftKings.
I mean, DraftKings is kind of setting up, just going sideways basically on a daily, so it needs to clear 20
Yeah, so
to get
nothing
back up.
happened.
But back on that point about the luxury retailers, I decided to take a look at like the discount retailers to see what's going on, and some of them are actually doing really well.
Sure, it's
Like
part of the degenerate economy, right? Like
yeah,
you
like
can't
Five
spend.
Below. I mean, obviously failed breakout. Like that's the one reality right now, that a lot of breakouts to 52-week highs are failing, but then pullbacks to rising 20, 50-day moving average are getting bought. So buying the dips, it's kind of working better than chasing breakouts. And there's another one, Elf, which is kind of not discount, but cheaper
What the hell?
cosmetics. And if you look at their chart, like right after like COVID reopening, like since then they've gone crazy. Like I don't know, maybe the reopening was kind of here or something. They've gone just
Wow. Wow. What's the ticker
unbelievable.
symbol?
It's
I haven't missed that completely.
ELF,
No.
ELF. And you can compare that to
Very
Ulta. I mean,
interesting.
Ulta has done well, but not as
And if they
well as
sell, yeah, I mean, if they sell, again, part of the younger demographic, men are a huge market here now. If you look at Hims, um, it's one of the only SPACs that's kind of recovered here. But men, I was talking to Manscaped CEO on
Mhm.
my podcast, and it was just like men are just talking about this stuff now, right? And so that could be a tribute to Ulta and Elf as well as just men's cosmetics and products. So it's a huge. The market's just growing in terms of lifestyle men's products. So super interesting. Okay, keep.
Yeah.
What else?
I mean,
My
obviously
other
the
the stocks that I
okay.
follow the most, Interactive Brokers, is my proxy for financials, software-based financials, kind of done well relative to other financials. And then Axon, which is, you know, um, maybe it just continues to go higher on all these shootings. Taser's an important American product that just gets no press coverage, right? But every time I read about, there's another shooting in Alabama, I think yesterday, or murder, another four, I think, young people dead. This is a company that just is really there's something going on underneath the surface. America has a gun problem. I have no idea, but this is a great American company that deals with guns and with, like I said, for years has its own private cloud. Um, okay, I'm trying to think if there's anything else besides
So a
this.
big big change last week we saw in obviously Europe keeps making new 52-week highs on a relative and absolute basis. For whatever reason, even France is like almost back to all-time highs with all the strikes and everything. Look at this chart, longer term chart. But Latin America has been kind of in the doldrums. They had a big bounce last week, mostly thanks to Brazil. Big bounce above the 250-day moving average. Probably the weak dollar is one of the reasons, but obviously a long way to go. Still in a long-term
But
downtrend.
also
Basically,
just much less tech dependent. So if we have a commodity boom, Europe, I don't know, I think Latin America would benefit more than Europe, but Europe's not tech heavy and very high. I think I shared on my blog, France's top companies are all like, fashion brands, right? In, the degenerate rich economy, the fashion brands just continue to do well. So there are trends happening. All right, buddy. So
Definitely, yeah.
next week I'm going to be in France, so I'll check in from there. Have a great
All
week.
right.
See everybody.
Then see you next week. Bye.